What up, y'all? It's T-Tar, and Pokemon has just officially announced Pokemon Legends Z. I don't even know the title. I'm gonna look at it right now properly. This is developed by Game Freak. They announced one game this year to shut up everyone who said they're releasing too many games, and they also made this year a blank year. No Pokemon game, as far as we know, is coming out this year. They've pretty much answered all the harsh criticism about how, they're making too many games too frequently. Now to see if different complaints start flooding in that, oh, Pokemon's taking too long, which they will, I told y'all from the start, Pokemon fans were lying when they said they wanted Pokemon to take longer with their games. But it's okay. This is going to be a more refined game. But they are returning to Kalos halfway through. So Pokemon is introducing different styles to which games they revisit. Kalos, you see, Kalos started off as a game they had to end quickly. There's already proof shown that there's supposed to be continuing games, 2 more after Kalos' first 2. Probably kind of what they did with Ultra Sun and Moon. So not 2 succeeding games, but 2 games that branches alternatives. And they never happened. So now Kalos is half nude. And that's what it always was. So what Pokemon is doing is revisiting it to fully clothe it, to bring the other half of their creative ideas now in a Legends format, mixing with new stuff. So first off, this is a Legends game, and in the stream, what some of y'all were saying is it could be in the future, which is a good point because of all the futuristic stuff shown in the trailer. But if you look at some of the small teasers they showed, it was something about urbanizing the region. And so this has to be in the past. So this is in the past of the France region, which is also the Mega Evolution region. Mega Evolution, as we saw with the teaser at the end, is returning. The feature we thought they wanted us to forget about. And to be fair, it's been 11/10 years, depending if you count X and Y. 11 since X and Y, 10 years since Auras. Now that they've introduced Z's, Gigantamaxes, and Terrastos, they're cycling back to the start. We are on our second run through Mega Evolution. So now in these games, they're going to talk about more, I'm not going to say ancient because this might be a couple hundred years ago at most, but more earlier Mega Evolutions that don't show up in the modern games. So a lot of the Pokemon you wished had Megas like Milotic and Flygon, we're back. We're back in business, baby. We had 2 options. Was it Johto or Unova? The answer was Kalos, and what a beautiful title. Pokemon Legends Z. The other thing this confirms is Pokemon Legends was not a one-off game that they were just trying something new with. This is a curveball they're sticking to. Legends is officially an entry in the series, and the other thing to mention, which is kind of something in the background, is throughout the Pokemon Presents, they were showing unknowns. Which, yeah, it's tied to the Johto region, but it's also tied to Arceus, right? Unknowns, they're related to Arceus' powers. So maybe this game could be continuing a bigger storyline that started with Legends Arceus overall in terms of like the mystery of all the Pokemon regions. But what's cool is unlike Legends Arceus, which is in Japan, which is where Game Freak is, and they have a love for the country they're from. This is a Legends game about the past of France. So you're going to be able to see a whole different side to Game Freak in terms of what they want to portray in an earlier France. And also, in history, France has gone to war with a lot of countries, the neighboring countries. There's the Spanish one, there's the one against the UK. So there would be mentions, I'm not going to say most likely, but there's a good chance there's going to be mentions of Galar during those times and of Paldea during those times. And you could even get mentions with stuff like Heath crossing over, though that's getting too deep into it, but this would be the time period that these things are happening. So all I have is seen the trailer. I don't even know what the game is really called. It looks like a Z with an hyphen and then A, Pokemon Legends Z. Some of y'all are saying Pokemon Legends AZ. We're gonna go to their official site. Pokemon's official site is completely overblown right now. It's not even loading. Let's see what they call it. What's the name? Oh, Pokemon. That is so unusual. There's never been a Pokemon game like this. Pokemon Legends ZA. So there's multiple ways to look at this, right? It's the reverse of AZ. And I mean, AZ is alive during this game. He's always been wandering. He might even just show up as his tall ass in this game. Wandering. We know he's gone to other regions like Auras, right? Apparently the Auras games even happened before X and Y, so he was there and then he came here and fought the main character in X and Y. It's Pokemon Legends Z. It could also be like the alphabet backwards, like counting from Z to A. So, you know, starting with Zygarde, some kind of origin. This is gonna completely expand what's up with Zygarde. And I mean, that's gonna be a whole other video. You see, what it seemed was happening with Perfect Zygarde is it was like their leftover notes from the games they were planning to make. But now that that's all out in the open, and we have Zygarde with its multiple forms, you make it with 100% of its cells into the Optimus Prime form, it would sound like this is not gonna touch on that mystery that we already have solved for us. This might touch on something else. Like, what if there's like freaking a bunch of different iterations of Zygarde that would make up for counting from Z to A? You know, I mean, this is a crazy stretch, but what if there's like Zygarde species that are very hexagony and green? No, but they can't make 26 of them, you know? Actually, speaking of the alphabet, we have the unknowns. So the unknowns, after they've been already tied to Arceus, they could have some connection to Zygarde, which we don't even know what Zygarde really is. He's supposed to balance the ecosystem. He's the ordered Pokemon. He hasn't done a thing in his whole life. You know, freaking Maxine Archie Awaken stuff, he does nothing. The ultimate weapon is Reborn, he does nothing. Maybe he was supposed to do something in the scrapped games, but this is crazy. Here we go. A new adventure awaits within Lumio City. This is the new Jubilife Village. No one expected this, my dudes. No one would have thought of this. Where an urban redevelopment plan is underway to shape the city into a place that belongs to both people and Pokemon. Well, that's some really unusual wording, right? Because it sounds like it's a place that currently only belongs to one side, as if there's some kind of battle between people and Pokemon right now. Right? Into a place that belongs to both people and Pokemon. Please look forward to seeing it yourself. Unbelievable. Let's see what the logo is called. Yeah, so it's Pokemon. Oh, it's just called Legends logo. But okay, it's Pokemon Legends ZA. I'm gonna have to update the video title. Right now, Kalos just turned from the half-naked game into probably gonna be one of the biggest games now. The lore is gonna be revisited. Think about Xerneas and Yveltal. They were last summoned like around 800 years ago, then they went into a sleep. It feels like all the lore in Kalos was cut short and we don't actually know what's up. It seems to be like on the forefront, based a little bit off like Nordic mythology, just kind of though. We don't even fully know what's going on. We didn't know there was more for them to tell. Now they have a huge bomb to drop on what Kalos is really about. And if you think about it, it should be one of the most important regions. It was the one that started all the gimmicks. This was the first gimmick we got. You know, maybe this game could cross over the regions. I know it's an idea right now that Area Zero has something to do with AZ firing the weapon. It's a weird idea. You never know if it might come to fruition. I mean, right now the reason it's called Area Zero is, even though you can abbreviate it to AZ, it's called Area Zero, right? It doesn't actually have something to do with AZ, but you never know, right? Right now, all we have to assume is that it's a self-contained Kalos story that might reference Paldean and Galar, but it's gonna be a whole story about the lore of these games that never got to see the full light they were supposed to. This is also a very risky title for Pokemon, right? People, when they see this on the shelves, they're not going to be used to it, so it shows Game Freak is really trying to have fun. And listen, it's big news that there was no LCA game. It seems almost like a missed opportunity. You know, Game Freak, Pokemon in general is trying to make money at the end of the day. The fact that they didn't give LCA a Pee-wee project to just generate more revenue, this is a whole risky setup by Game Freak. So if this year really is a blank year, the same way all the way back in 2016, after Pokemon Auras, we got a blank year, then there's like a lot of stuff being worked on in the background of Pokemon. And also, if this is coming out in 2025, it raises the question, is this for the console after the Switch? They did put it's for the Switch there, but it might be the new Switch, which is just, you know, it's in the air right now, what it really is. It sounds like it's something backwards compatible and more like a Switch Pro. So this could be developed with that in mind, but just compatible with the Switch. Anyhow, make sure to shank that like button. This is our future now. This is the next 2 years of our life. And maybe they might announce other games along the way, but right now, we're going back to Kalos, baby. And Mega Evolutions, the gimmick they wanted us to forget, is back. Sadly, I already have one. I'll see you on the next one. Take care.